Hey, welcome back to the City Rev Life podcast. Excited to be here with you today. I'm joined by the one, the only Angelica Barros, and of course, Pastor Craig Stevens, two of the best people here at City Rev.
Wow.
I'm a little biased.
Wow, thank you.
But yeah,
it means a lot.
I'll only say that on camera.
Right,
I'm not
okay.
as nice to them off
really
camera.
Yeah.
I do think that. I love you guys. Well, we're kicking off a brand new series. Excited about this one where we're talking about parenting, and we want to look at a specific season of life. We'll get there in this series on parenting young adults.
Yeah.
What parenting looks like. We'll briefly talk about when you have young children, but then how that transitions into something else entirely when that child becomes an adult and how we navigate that. And am I speaking to that properly, guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's a season of life that I'm not in yet, right? My kids are little, but Angelica's there, and she's
Poor
seen the
Angelica.
shift, of raising college kids and trying to keep them, on the right course, but also eating food and, managing being on their own, like grocery shopping, things like that.
Shopping, having a roof over their head.
Yeah, that stuff.
That they're paying for.
Yeah, it's a different season of life. But I think all of us feel the overwhelm of becoming a parent, and I think anybody who is a parent out there who've had kids, you just know that feeling of, especially like bringing your first one home.
Yes.
And then you're like, they
They
are just leaving us.
They let us walk out
They're
of the
just-
hospital with this baby.
We're carrying this baby back to our house. Like, we're in charge.
There's
We
no
gotta-
instruction manual.
No.
Like, what do you do? How do you
Yes.
care for this human
Should
being?
I call my parents over right now? Like, who's in charge here? Like,
I'm in
it's
charge.
yeah.
Thank
it's
God for our wives,
Yes,
because
yeah.
they just intuitively know how to care for
Yeah,
these
it's like,
human
oh.
beings.
Intuitively, it's like
Intuitively.
Support the head. That's a good tip. Support the head, the baby. When
Yes,
you hold the baby,
hold the neck.
That's a good tip. You got to know that. You got to know that.
I'm in the same season of
Yeah,
life
yeah.
right now as you, Craig.
Yes.
Mine are 5 and 3, and I
Yep.
think yours are
Same.
like 5 and 3, 5 and
Yep,
2.
Same.
Oh, wow. They're
Yeah,
both
it's the
same
same
age?
same ages.
They're both the same age. Yeah.
And then Angelica, you've got 3 that
I have 3 young
pretty much are
adults.
3 young adults now,
Yeah.
right? Your youngest
Legally,
is
my third one will
transitioning to young
be
adults
a
now.
young adult. in
She's
2
graduating
weeks.
soon, right? Yeah.
She's graduating this year.
That's exciting.
And I'm
So
sure
I'm
that
dying inside.
yeah, it's got to be like bittersweet, right? Because you get to see
It
the
is.
fruits of your labor that you have been for 18 plus years pouring
Yes.
into these 3 young girls in your case.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also got to be a little sad, right?
It's a lot sad. But then it's exciting because I'm excited for them, and I'm also very, very, very scared for them.
Yeah.
And I hope they realize it's not going to be like the movies or the TV shows or anything like that.
Yeah.
And
Probably a lot of time checking in. Hey, where are they? What are they up to? Trying
yes,
to piece together the hints a little bit from the phone calls and the text messages. Yeah.
yeah. I had a call yesterday, and it was like, "Mom, I'm only doing a 6-month rent, and then now my rent's going up $200. What do I do?" I'm like,
You say, "Welcome
"Move
to
things
life."
around
Yeah.
in your budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're different challenges, right? Different
Yes.
challenges for different stages of life. So, yeah. And I think from what I've heard, right? I mean, I've experienced a little bit of that. You probably experienced a little of that. But like every season presents new challenges. And even seeing, my kids go from that like infant baby stage to now preschool and, getting a little bit more independence, you start to see like, oh, there's new issues to parent, new character to try to form. And it just seems to be ever changing. So I'm excited we're talking about it, especially getting to the point of parenting young adults, because I feel like a lot of our focus can be on, parenting young children, which is good. But that young adult is kind of a special season in life that we really gotta focus on.
And I think I have a weird angle on it because, like you, Craig, I have 2 young girls, but I did the young adult ministry for so long.
Right.
So I have like the young adult side a lot locked into my brain. And so it'll be interesting when I become the parent of a young adult. I'm sure that
The world will change by then.
it probably won't help me at all.
Yeah,
I'll probably
your information will be out
I'll
of
probably
date.
be a horrible dad.
Yeah,
you know?
it'll be over. Yeah.
You'll still be wondering, what do I do?
Yeah.
Well, I've already told the girls, they've already, they're princesses and they talk about their prince and had a little bit of those conversations about marriage already, which is freaking me out. She's 5. Okay. Let's not talk about that. I told her when she's 30, we can start having those conversations.
I think that's great.
And she was open to that.
Yeah, I think that's
she was
great.
open
Sounds
to
like
that.
my
30
husband.
seems fair.
Yeah.
35.
That seems
I'm going
like
to
a
hold
good
her to
age.
that. She said at 5 years old that she's okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's great.
But I know you were going to introduce a little bit, just like, what does the Bible say? about parenting?
Yeah,
Kind of start there. What does the Bible talk about?
The job can be overwhelming to be parent. And so it can be helpful to go back and think like, okay, if there's so much to do and so much you can do, there's always more time to spend with your kids. There's always so much more to teach them. But what does the Lord expect of us as parents? Like, what's kind of the basics of the job? Like, what will the Lord hold us accountable for? What does He teach us to focus on? What does He expect of us as parents? And so there's two really prominent passages about being a parent. And the first is found in the Old Testament, Deuteronomy 6, the Shema, and I'll read it to you. Says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." And that's a really famous passage of Scripture, but it also talks specifically about being a parent. And it's about teaching your children about the Lord, to love the Lord with everything that you have, and the ways of the Lord. That's really what the Shema is teaching. And then in the New Testament, the Apostle Paul writes to parents, and he says this in Ephesians 6, starting in verse 1. He says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise." He references the 10 Commandments. And then verse 3, "that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land." And then verse 4, he speaks to parents, and he says, "Here, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord." And so if I had to kind of summarize what the Lord is calling us to do, He's calling us to teach discipline and instruction in the Lord. And I would say, but even between those two, the primary job as parents, the primary job for us, regardless of the stage of life that your kids are in, your primary job as a parent is to teach your children about the Lord. It's to introduce them to the Lord. It's to teach them about your faith. It's to show them the path of salvation. I mean, to really boil it down, your responsibility, your primary responsibility as a parent is to prepare your children for eternity, prepare them for heaven, right? Like, we all feel that and desire that we want our children to be with us in heaven. And that's your primary job.
Yeah.
And as important as that is, I think everybody agrees with that. And especially if you're a Christian and you're listening to this or watching this, you would say, of course, like, that's job number one. That's priority number one. It's really easy with just the busyness of life and all the other things we want for our children, for that to kind of get neglected, or really what I've even found is it's really easy to think you have more time than you do, and just be like, oh yeah, we'll get to this. We'll, like, when they're a little bit older, we'll talk about it more. When they're a little bit older, we'll focus on it more. And that's not a good way to go about it. The Lord calls us like, hey, this is primary importance number one. Teach your faith to the children. So a couple things for you to keep in mind as you're thinking this. How do we pass down our faith? How do we teach our children about the Lord and instruct them in the ways of the Lord? The first is that we do teach them the gospel. Preach the gospel to your kids. Explain the gospel to your kids. And let them know from a young age what it means, what Jesus's death on the cross and resurrection means for them. About sin and about our need of a savior, and about heaven and how we get there, right? It's by the blood of Jesus, by putting our faith in him. Teach them the gospel, explain it to them, not just once. Make that a regular part of your life and your relationship. And the church is a huge support in that, right? Get them involved in kids ministry, take them to church activities, like it gives you more openings and opportunities to talk about the Lord, but just make that a regular part of your life, and think creatively about how you can continue to reinforce that to your kids. And so you teach them, but then, as we all know, really what they pick up on even more than what we say is what we do. And so it's about modeling that in your life. And so the most effective way that you can pass down your faith to your children is for you to model faith in Jesus in your life. And so again, it's not like a show. Like you're not trying to make yourself something that you're not, but it means consistently seeking the Lord in your own life and making that such a regular part of your life that that's normal for your kids to see that. So let them see you pray. Let them see you go to church. Let them see you, read your Bible, and again, you don't have to like show off, right? Like a lot of times when I'm spending time in prayer, and Bible reading in the morning, my kids aren't up. So I don't like wait and then like do it again when they're up. You know what I mean? But it's just like you make it a regular part of your life and a regular conversation, and they can pick up on it. And also how you make your decisions shows that. And then the other part of it would be model that good character that we want to see in our kids, and a good character that comes from our convictions, comes from our faith. And so things like, keeping your promises to your kids, being honest with your kids, that sounds simple, but that can be hard sometimes, right? Because things come up and life gets busy. And trying your best to model the fruit of the Spirit even as a parent, right? Because as a parent, I know for me, sometimes I can feel like, well, these are my kids and they need to listen to me and they need to respect me, but I still am required to model the fruit of the Spirit and be like Jesus, be humble and loving and kind and gracious even to my kids, and let them see that in me. It's a good way to kind of pass down the faith side of things. You guys find that to be true in your life? Have you found that to be?
Yeah, it's like in everything though.
Yeah.
Like how you drive your car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in the traffic here in South Florida. How you respond to that. Like when they start driving, like what you've modeled is what they're going to do. Right. And you're going to see that in driving, and that can be scary.
There'll be one of those people that honks as soon as the light turns green. It's like, hey, we're all going. Like everyone, we all see it. We're all going.
I have a friend who does that, and I'm like, bro, you're one of those?
Yeah, my oldest is Aria, that's her name. And the other day I'm driving with the family, and I had been trying to be patient on the road, and not be vocal about my frustrations. And I guess what I was giving off was that frustrated sense in the traffic jam. And from the back seat, Aria goes, "Man, why is everyone driving so slow?"
Yes.
Those words then originate in that brain, right? She's mimicking what she knows I want to say in that moment.
Yep.
And I fear that I'm already creating an anxious driver.
That's it, man.
At an early age.
Yeah, and so they pick up on all that stuff. And so it's about modeling the faith and trying to live out our faith, right? Which is just what we should be doing anyway, right? Like we're trying to follow the Lord, but as they see that, that'll help them grow. And then the other big piece of it is discipline. Like the Bible mentions discipline often when it talks about parenting. This is a responsibility for parents to teach them the discipline, specifically the discipline and instruction of the Lord. But we are called as parents to provide discipline to our kids to help them grow and be respectful, be responsible, have self-control, so that they can seek the Lord, so that they can love their neighbors, so that they can serve the people around them. And so that requires, as parents, to provide appropriate discipline and boundaries for our kids. And I just want to say out front, like there's a lot of freedom in that. There's not like the one way to discipline your kid. I think a lot of families take different approaches. And depending on the kid, like kids need different approaches. So it's not like one, set way of like, okay, you got to use timeouts. It's just, there's a lot of freedom there, and it takes wisdom there as a parent to know your kids. But that is a responsibility we hold. We are called to discipline our kids. And I would say that as we look at how to discipline our kids, the example that Scripture points us back to is to look at the discipline that God, our Heavenly Father, gives to us. And so there are plenty of times where the Lord corrects us. And so there's time for that in our lives and in the lives of our children. But most often the Lord's discipline, he leads with warmth and love and grace and forgiveness. And so if you had to say like, well, what does godly parenting look like? That's where we want to get to. I know it's difficult, right? It's easier with some kids than others. It's easier at certain times than others, right?
Yep.
But like that's what we're aspiring to be that kind of those kind of parents that lead with warmth and love and forgiveness and grace. And then our kids have that foundation of discipline that they can follow him and have self-control and grow in that. And I would just say that sometimes that can get overwhelming when we think about like passing down our faith, disciplining our kids, how we help them grow in any area of life, but especially when it comes to areas of faith. And I would just put a quick reminder there that the way that happens is through communication. Like if there's no communication with your kids, it's gonna be really hard to tell them about the Lord, right? And so we want to keep up communication. And again, I would say, especially as parents, that's a place where we can lead and we can initiate. And I know different seasons of life, it's more difficult, right? Like, my 5-year-old daughter will talk to me all day. Like we have to tell her, like, okay, stop asking questions now. You need to eat your dinner, But then, I'm around friends.
17,
with
talk
teenagers. Yeah, they're just gonna be like, okay, I don't want to hear what you say, right? But it's still worth the effort of putting in and trying to establish that communication, and trying to build those pathways, because that's how we influence anyone in our life, but especially our children. So it's something for us to think about and try to take away. I know it looks different for different stages of life.
It does. And there are going to be times where you're going to think they're not listening to you, but they're actually listening to you. So they're just
like, I don't want to hear it, but then they do.
They pick up. Yeah. So.
Yeah. What you're saying, Craig, is so profound. I think the biggest takeaway there for me is it starts with us.
Yeah.
Right. You multiple times you said we have to model something, like model good character, model faithfulness. And it's you see that in Scripture. You see that in Deuteronomy when he says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might." He doesn't begin by saying, "You shall train your child to."
Yes.
You have to, and then it overflows out of that heart, where then you should teach them diligently to your children. So they need to see that in you. You need to have it first. It needs to flow out of you, and then you got to be diligent about teaching it to them.
Yes.
But it's intuitive there that we're modeling it because we love God.
Right.
And I think that's so profound, because I think sometimes we want that for them.
Yeah.
But we don't have it ourselves yet.
Yep.
And the kids, they pick up on that.
Yeah.
They
You can't
see
fake
that.
it.
You
Yeah.
cannot fake it at home. We might be able to go to church or go to our workplace or go to our friend's house, go to our neighbor's house and fake it, but like they know.
Right.
They know who you are.
Right.
Like there's no putting on a front in your own home. And so I just think that's really profound that you're sharing there, Craig. And I think where you're going too is sometimes maybe our hearts aren't there.
Yeah, it's not. Well, I think the hard part is, if you were to ask someone, like, is that the most important thing, that your kids know the Lord? They'd say yes, of course, right? But there are also a lot of other important things that I want my kids to do and get right, and I want to prepare them for. And I think it can be tough for us as parents, because we have all these important things, and we say, hey, we want to keep the faith of our children primary. We want to keep that the focus, but we want to do all these other important things. And it's kind of one of those things of like, if you have 5 of the most important things to do, then you don't really have the most important thing. Like one can't be the most important if you also have 5 or 10 other really important things that you want to do. And so we have to really stay focused. That primary focus, number one, is that our kids learn the faith.
And sometimes in my life, it's like, yes, primary focus, number one, they love the Lord.
Yes.
But then my time says otherwise.
Yes. Yes.
My money says otherwise.
Yes.
It's like, I'll spend all this money to get you to do this, and I will put all this time so that you get really good at this.
Right.
Yeah.
But I would say with my mouth, I want them to love the Lord.
Right. And our kids have different interests, right? And honestly, like, serving the Lord, I think it's easy for little kids to understand that concept and love the Lord. But then, like, when we think about like the disciplines of seeking the Lord, like prayer, scripture reading, going to church, like, look, we try really hard to make all those things interesting, but it's not as much fun as other things in life, right? Like, it takes discipline to sit quietly and seek the Lord in prayer. And so that's hard for any kid to do. And so if you're saying like, hey, if you just let a kid kind of do what they want and focus their time and their priorities, let them lead with it, they're going to want to play, right? Which is good. We want kids to play, but it's like, okay, so how do we kind of shape that and keep what's number one, right? And so you work with them and you try to make it fun, but you try to build those time in your schedule, right, where that is a priority. in your calendar too, in the way you spend your money. That's a good point. I like that. So, go ahead.
No, sometimes parents are like, when do I start doing this too?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't know when to start teaching. They're like, okay, when they start talking. And my sister, she was like, when do I start? She had just had her son. She was like, when do I start teaching him about God? I'm
Yeah.
like, now.
Yeah, you just start where you are, right?
You know, as soon as he wakes up, pray with him. And it could be like, wow, God, thank you for this beautiful
Yeah.
morning. Just simple things.
Yeah.
So it starts easy. But then when they start school, you start thinking about, okay, well, grades are important,
Yes.
you know, but
I want them to be successful.
yeah, you want them to be
I want them
successful.
to have a roof over their head.
And then, like you said, you
World
could
class
put
athlete.
Yeah. I want them to
you could
win
put
a gold
all the
medal.
money in tutors and
Yeah.
and all of that. But
So there are a lot of personal expectations we have for our kids. We want things for our kids,
Yes.
right? We want them to get good grades. We want them to succeed. We want them to get a good job. Athletics is a big one. A lot of parents are like, man, I want my kid to do well in athletics and a sport. And those things are fine. Like, you can do those things. Those are fine. But they must be secondary to you focusing and teaching them to love the Lord. And so, yeah, a great way to monitor that is your calendar, is your money. One of the telltale warning signs that we see again and again and again is like if you're saying, hey, church is less important, or the things of God are less important than, say, practice for your kids' sport, right? And like, oh, well, they've got tennis practice on that day, so I can't ever do it. I can't ever make church because it's this guy that gives lessons is only available on Sunday morning. Like, okay, you're teaching your kids what the priority is here, right? And so you need to be honest about your life. Be like, man, what are the priorities that I'm showing them, and saying, what can we do to make following the Lord the number one priority? So part of that is protecting that time in their schedule and in your schedule. And then also for us, like letting go a little bit and loosening the grip a little bit on the things that are not biblical expectations for parents. Okay, so I'll say again, I want those for my kids. I want my kids to get good grades. I want my kids to be able to provide for themselves. I want them to do well in the things that they do. But in the grand scheme of things, in eternity, if my kid doesn't make a lot of money, that's okay. Like, if my kid's not a great athlete, that's okay. Like, if my kid gets bad grades, right? Like, and barely graduates, right? Or doesn't graduate, like, that's okay. Even in the grand scheme of things, right? Like, for us, we need to remember what's most important is what is eternal. And so that can be a good way for us to kind of discern the difference between these are expectations that the Bible puts on me versus these are expectations that I put on my kids. Is, hey, will this matter in heaven? Like, will their skills as a tennis player matter in heaven? Probably not very much, right? Like, will their grades matter in heaven? Probably not, right? Like, these things will
I'm
matter.
only bragging about my grades in heaven. What are you? You're
gonna
not
tell
going to be,
people-
Craig?
Yeah, tell people your GPA when you're in heaven.
Not that I really
And
don't have
so-
anything to brag about. I'm just tennis. I think we're going to be playing tennis in heaven.
Tennis in
Come
heaven.
on.
Maybe we
or
will.
pickleball.
Yeah, at pickleball. But like these things, like for sometimes we know that, and it almost sounds like silly, right? It almost sounds dumb to say these things of like, of course, their tennis skills won't matter when they get to heaven, but okay, let's live like that here and now, because it's really easy for us to get so focused on what our kids want to do and what they like and what we want from them. And we got a lot of baggage that we bring because we think like, well, I didn't get to do this when I was a kid, so I want my kid to be able to do all these things. And it's like, hey, that stuff's great, but what matters more than anything is that your kid is in heaven with you. That's what matters. It matters that they know the Lord, that they seek the Lord. And so we need to do our best to loosen our grip a little bit. And so if you are like more upset when your kid gets a bad grade than their lack of care about the Lord, or their total just hey, I don't care about what's going on in the spiritual things, like man, like that should be an indicator for us, right? And I'm not saying that you can get your kid in trouble, like you need to love the Lord more. That's not how it's going to work either, right? But like for us, for our hearts, for our minds, like our desires should be for our kids to grow in the faith and grow in character. Those are the two things we're trying to do, more than their success, their job skills, their athletic skills, their grades. Those things are important, but they're not as important, right? So we need to make that distinction also for our kids and for their sake.
And back to what you're saying, like if we have that in our heart and
Right.
we're modeling that,
Right.
then that's going to be the position of their heart.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so when it's that transition, because we're teaching them and we want them to know the Lord, and
Yes.
we're discipling them in that.
Yes.
But as they grow,
Yes.
it becomes their faith.
Yes.
And then we have to let go.
Yeah. And we need to communicate that, because a lot of times there are things that we think and believe and feel in our heart, and then we just don't express it. And so
Yeah.
we need to express that to, like, this is what matters to me as your dad. Like, I just want you to know the Lord, to love the Lord, to seek him, right? And think of how that would play out, right? Like, there are things I want for my kids, right? I want my kids to grow up. I want them to have a roof over their head. I want them to have food on the table. I want them to do well. I want them to experience good things in life. I want them to have a family one day, and I want them to have a joyful life, right? But if all they get from me is, hey, I want you to know the Lord, and if all I'm able to do by God's grace and power is for them to love the Lord and seek the Lord with all their heart, like the Shema says, with all their heart and all their might, if they are actively seeking the Lord in all that they do, he will provide those things.
Everything else works out.
Yes, he'll take care of them.
Absolutely.
Like, he's the provider. He'll make sure if they're seeking the Lord, they'll grow in integrity, and they'll grow in honesty, and they'll grow in discipline and work ethic. Like, who doesn't want to hire someone like that? Of course, like, yeah, they'll get a job. If they love the Lord, right? They become self-sacrificial. They become a servant of others. Then of course they're going to find someone to marry and have a family, because they're going to be a great husband or a great wife. Like, they're going to love their spouse well. Like, those things will take care of themselves if we teach them and pass on a real vibrant faith in their life. And so we've got to make that the priority, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the foundation that everything else is built upon.
Yeah, when you prioritize church over other things that fight for our attention.
Yes.
When they get older, they're prioritizing church, and now they have community around them. They have people who hopefully are godly and are going to point them to Jesus.
Yeah, are going to influence them the right way,
and
right?
influence them in a good way. Because I mean, that's the young adult space.
Yeah.
I mean, I dealt with that all the time. I still do to an extent. Where if you showed me their parents' way of parenting and priorities in middle and high school, I can tell you exactly the kind of young adult they were going to be. And thankfully, a lot of times they're here, right? So the chances are they stayed here for college, and so they're staying in their church. And so for many, it's like, that's a really eye-opening experience for them as they grow and make their faith their own. But for a lot of them, they go away to college,
right,
and they take the priorities they were taught at home, and they go and they live it out with no accountability, no one pushing them to be a part of a church or a young adult group or anything. And the amount of conversations I've had with parents where it's like, where did I go wrong? And it's not the kind of conversation where I start saying like, well, maybe this, and this. But as a pastor sharing on the podcast, I can tell you those were the families that I knew because they showed up every now and then. They weren't really around. Right. And so then now they're expecting their child to be around because they're not the world-class tennis star that they were working 5-6 days a week towards for so long. They just went to college. And now they have to figure out their life all over again because they didn't get a chance to do that while they were in their parents' home. And it's like, well, why do you expect them to suddenly have this longing to pursue the Lord?
And
right?
I think the idea that it's an overflow from us is helpful too, in that, because I don't want to give the impression of this being easy. Like, it's not easy. Like, parenting's not an easy job.
No.
Like, no one would say that. And I don't want to shame the people listening to say like, hey, you need to do this, or you need to be better. Like, I think we all feel our deficiencies and our lack as parents. But again, like, this is the gift that the church brings to you and me as parents, right? Like, this is our place to find support and love and people to help us grow in our parenting and keep the main thing, right? And it's like, man, we need that community. We need that support because it's difficult and hard to do. And then as we go to church and seek the Lord's guidance and find community and find support and find people that will help us get through it, we're then also modeling to our kids in that moment that they need the church and they need God's people and they need the Lord, because life can be difficult and you need that support and you need people around you, and you also need the Lord's strength and the Lord's help. So it kind of compounds, right? It builds upon itself. And so it's not easy, but it's something that we can do kind of if we seek it together, right? If we work together for it.
Yes, and it's not to villainize a lot of those things.
Yeah.
That's
if your kid plays tennis, that's okay. I just want to say
I don't know why we're
it's
picking on tennis right now.
I know. It's an example.
I would love to pick on
Great
ballet,
stroke.
actually. I'd love to pick on ballet instead because my
Ballet.
daughters are in ballet and they're 5 and 3, and I've already got to commit time and resources towards this. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
Yeah.
But it's helping them still prioritize the Lord in that, and help them and foster that love and discipline for ballet.
Right.
Yes.
But show them how it needs to be below the Lord.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And help them in that.
Yeah.
Help
But then
them love the
also
Lord
help
more.
them understand that that's a gift from the Lord.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And whatever you do, whether it's how you clean your room or the grades that you make or how you do in ballet or in tennis,
Right.
you're doing it to serve the Lord. Yeah. If they have that heart posture that every single thing that they do, and of course they're going to see that in you.
Yeah.
Like if you're grumbling every single time you wash the dishes, which I often do.
Yeah.
They're going to grumble every time they have to wash the dishes. But if you're doing it because you're like so thankful that you've provided food for your family, you're so thankful that you have a family together to have, to have a meal together, then the heart posture is different. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's that transition, because it's not overnight that they will automatically have their faith.
Right.
And do it perfectly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as a parent of a young adult, like I raised my kids to know the Lord. They were in the church.
Yeah.
We pointed them to Christ every day.
Yeah.
And it's still scary as heck.
Yeah. Yeah.
My oldest, I was like, oh my gosh, when is she going to go to church? Oh my gosh, are you doing this? Oh my gosh, are you doing this? And my husband was like, relax. Yeah. Like, we did what the Lord has told us to do, and we're still doing it. We're not letting go.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be perfect at first.
Yeah.
But then now we're modeling trusting the Lord with this child.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Spoiler
every
alert.
stage. Yeah, every stage of life. And that's kind of what we're gonna look at. The next couple episodes as we get there of like that's especially that young adult time of life. Like it's
And they're supposed to
different,
be adults when they're 18, right?
right?
That's
Right.
the age we've decided.
According
I
to
guess.
the U.S. government,
Yes,
that's it.
18
yeah,
is
that's when
the
you're an
age.
adult. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we live in that reality. We live in that world. And so how do we navigate?
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
that's
know. Tell me.
really good.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
that's really good. Well, any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would just encourage parents out there that it's obvious, but I don't want to miss it, is that when we talk about passing down the faith and modeling it and teaching it, a big part of that, and like probably the most important of that, is prayer. And so like pray for your
that's
children.
good.
And so make sure that through all of it, you pray for them. However that looks in your life, like if it's every time you walk by their door, you pray for them. If it's a reminder on your phone, if it's a handwritten note every morning, but just spend time in prayer for your kids, because this is ultimately a work of the Lord. You can kind of parent perfectly, but if you're just doing it in your own strength, this is a spiritual transformation that we're seeking. So seek the Lord for the sake of your children in prayer. Make sure that's covered in prayer.
That's so good, Craig, because we wouldn't take credit for our own salvation.
Nope.
No.
We know as an act of prayer and the Lord pursuing us, and so we would pray for the same for our kids.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about this series. It's going to be great. I know it's going to be very beneficial for myself, and I know for the church as well. And I think if we're parents of young kids, if you're a parent of young children right now, this is great for you to listen to, because we're not trying to raise good, respectful children. We're trying to raise godly adults. Yeah. And so hearing this with young kids is great, because this has been perfect for you, but you kind of learn what you're aiming for in parenting, and kind of look down the road, which in our season, Craig, it's hard to look up. Sometimes we're just like surviving with the little ones.
One day they'll be able to brush their own teeth. That'll be great.
Them buckling themselves in the car was a game changer, man. It was
That's
great.
what people say, and I don't know if I believe it.
I don't miss it yet. I don't miss it yet.
I miss it.
But it's great for us young parents of young kids to look up and, okay, that's what I'm trying to get to, and it's helpful in my parenting now. If you're a young adult listening to it, hopefully this will help you navigate the relationship with your parents, because
have grace
as
for your
we're going to
parents.
as we're going to talk about, it transitions a little bit. And then if you're a parent of a young adult, hopefully this is going to be a series that'll bless you as well. So I'm excited to tackle that with you guys. All right, this has been another episode of the City Rev Life podcast. Be sure to join in next week for the next episode. See you guys then.
Thank you so much for listening to the City Rev Life podcast. Feel free to subscribe and leave a rate and review. We love it when you share with your friends on social media, so don't forget to tag us at cityrev.church. If you're interested in more resources, download our City Rev Church app and follow us on social media. Have a great day.